Hey there, welcome to the channel. This is WGK's Public Safety Images, and today I'm going to do a short video. I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in southern Mecklenburg County, Matthews, Mid Hill, with the growth and, in one case, the demise of one of the volunteer departments down there. So without any further ado, let's talk about Matthews and Mid Hill and what's happening in Mecklenburg County.
Battalion 2, engines, 35, 40, 34, and 27, ladder 40, and safety 1, house fire, 3312 Ashley Keith Drive, Muncie, Charlotte.
So before I get going, I just want to thank you again for watching the videos. And before I get going on the town of Matthews and the town of Mid Hill and the Idlewild Fire Department and what's going on there, just want to say, again, this is all information that I've gotten. It's public information. It comes from the town's websites or it comes from the various departments involved. But I wanted to give a little insight as to what's going on. And obviously the biggest thing here is the Idlewild Fire Department, after 50 years of service, is going to close down. And I've heard people saying, geez, why are we closing down a volunteer department? That doesn't make any sense. So I want to talk about what's going on and how this works and why, unfortunately, it does sort of make sense. So let's talk about the Idlewild Volunteer Fire Department, which in March of this year, after 50 years of service, closed its doors. But to truly tell the story, we have to go back and we have to look at a little history. And in fact, we have to go back even farther than 50 years ago. And so to help frame all this, we're going to go back to 1958. I use 1958 because that's a nice baseline, because in 1958, the Mecklenburg County Volunteer Firemen's Association took out a full-page ad in the Charlotte Observer talking about the need to support the local volunteer fire departments. As part of that ad, they actually included a map of the county and included all the fire districts that existed at that time. If you've looked into the history of any of the volunteer departments in Mecklenburg County, you've probably seen this map. And because it is kind of a good jumping off point and a helpful place to get started, I actually took that map and digitized it into QGIS so we can do some more fancy visualizations with the map. So the map shown here is that essentially that digitized version of the 1958 map from the advertisement. And you'll notice in the center of Mecklenburg County, the gray area is the city of Charlotte in 1958. In the southwest corner of the county, you will see in orange the town of Mid Hill, and in red, the town of Matthews. All the volunteer department districts are outlined in blue, and you'll notice that along that southern border, it is just Mid Hill and Matthews. However, just north of that is the Oakhurst Fire Department. By 1975, we can see that the city of Charlotte has grown dramatically south of the city core, if you will. And the city has now consumed most of the Woodlawn, Sharon, and Oakhurst Volunteer Fire Department's districts. Remembering that one of the requirements for annexing land is the city that does the annexing must provide fire protection services along with police and sanitation and some other services. So that meant as the city of Charlotte's fire department grew, those volunteer departments, their area got smaller and smaller. So in 1975, the Oakhurst Volunteer Fire Department, which had now been almost completely annexed into the city, disbanded and then moved a little farther south and reformed as the Idlewild Volunteer Fire Department. They provided fire protection services in the unincorporated areas between Matthews, which was still fairly small, and Mint Hill. By 1995, nearly all of Idlewild's district had been incorporated into either the city of Charlotte or the towns of Matthews or Mint Hill. At that time, both the Matthews Fire Departments and the Mint Hill Volunteer Fire Department were still independent agencies and provided services to the town on a contract basis. With Idlewild's location right on the border of Matthews and Mint Hill, the towns also paid Idlewild for fire protection services in the area closest to their station. As you can see from this map showing the location of all three stations, this provided a fairly uniform service area for the three independent departments. In 2016, the town of Matthews opened their Station 2, which improved coverage for much of their town, but still left Idlewild with a fairly significant area to provide protection for, under contract to both the town of Matthews and town of Mint Hill. In recent years, as both towns have continued to grow, both the Matthews and Mint Hill fire departments have been moving away from an all-volunteer department to a combination department and ultimately going fully career in the future. With this inevitable growth in mind, the town of Matthews and the town of Mint Hill decided to build additional stations to improve coverage in that Idlewild's general area. And in 2025, the town of Matthews opened Station 3 and Mint Hill opened Station 2. Matthews Fire and EMS Station 3 is located on Matthews Mint Hill Road. The station officially went into service on March 10th, 2025 at 12 noon, and the on-duty crews had their first run a little more than an hour later. Built by the town of Matthews at a cost of about $1.5 million, the two-bay station is nearly 13,000 square feet and includes enough room for two four-person crews to be assigned to the station. Currently, the station houses a single engine company, Matthews Engine 3. With the opening of this station, 87% of residents in the town of Matthews now live within 2.5 miles of a fire and EMS resource. Prior to this station opening, only about 2/3 of the Matthews residents were in 2.5 miles of such a resource. On March 13th, 2025, the town of Mint Hill opened Mint Hill Fire Station number 2 on Lebanon Road. Station 2 is built on a nearly 20-acre site that also includes a public works building for the town, a multi-purpose building, and a fire training tower to the rear of the station. Mint Hill's Fire Station 2 is a two-bay station that has nearly 9,000 square feet of space and is now home to Mint Hill Engine 2 and Mint Hill Battalion 1. When we look at these new stations on the map, a couple of things should become evident. First of all, the Mint Hill and Matthews Fire Departments worked together on choosing the location for these new stations to maximize coverage to the area on the eastern part of Matthews and the western part of Mint Hill. Since these two departments run auto aid with each other, this maximizes coverage. And the second thing that becomes clear is the Idlewild Volunteer Fire Department suddenly serves a very small area of unincorporated area in their now shrinking district. Remembering that Idlewild's budget came from three sources, Mecklenburg County, as well as supplements from the town of Mint Hill and the town of Matthews, with these new stations opening up, the towns would no longer need to supply that funding to Idlewild Fire Department. That loss of funding, approximately $800,000 a year, would be too much to overcome. And so the Idlewild Fire Department made the decision to cease operations on March 30th, 2025 at 8 p.m. As part of the agreement with the towns of Matthews and Mid Hill, the assets for the Idlewild Fire Department would be split between those two town fire departments, and those towns would make an effort to incorporate any remaining volunteers or part-time staff into Mid Hill's and Matthews' current fire operations. With the Matthews Fire Department still awaiting delivery of a new engine to serve in Station 3, Idlewild's newest engines, a 2017 Ferrara pumper and a 2010 Spartan Rosenbauer pumper, would be turned over to the Matthews Fire Department, which plans to redo the graphics on the old Idlewild engines to match the current Matthews graphics. However, they will keep the Idlewild engine company numbers, engines 92 and 93, to honor the Idlewild Volunteer Fire Department. So March of 2025 turned out to be an eventful month in southeastern Mecklenburg County, with the town of Matthews and the town of Mid Hill Fire Departments adding new stations, and a little more sadly, with the Idlewild Fire Department closing its doors after 50 years of service.
Mecklenburg County Fire and EMS would like to give a heartfelt thanks to all the members, leaders, and administrators, past and present, of the Idlewild Volunteer Fire Department, who have given so much to protect and serve the Idlewild community for the past 50 years. We are thankful for your unwavering dedication.
Idlewild 9 Central.
Idlewild 9.
Please place the Idlewild Volunteer Fire Department out of service.
10-4, sir. Thank you guys for all your work.
So there you go. Just a quick overview. Hopefully you found it interesting, and hopefully I didn't make any great mistakes. If you like this video, please consider giving it the thumbs up. Like I said, if I did make a mistake or an error or an omission, please feel free to leave it in the comments or contact me directly. Otherwise, we will just see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.